What's up, guys? Trevor Hunter here with Dirt Bike Test. We're at the annual 24 Hours of Glen Helen. We're here to torture ourselves for a full day and night and partway through the morning of racing. And as usual, we brought the YZ450FX to take on the challenge. The last few years, we've kind of used basically the same platform. That 21 to 23 450FX was completely identical, but Yamaha switched it up and gave this 2024 model a whole new revamp for this year. And so we've had our work cut out for us, just testing some different parts and finding some setup points, and just overall just figuring out the new bike. By the end of last year, we were pretty spoiled. We knew what worked, what didn't, and we had a really good setup. So coming into this year, we basically started from ground zero, and that led us to this. So this is all the mods that we really feel help make this bike what it is, and overall, we're really impressed. Initially, we liked the bike, but there were some quirks we needed to figure out. And at one point, we were a little nervous. We wouldn't get this bike to be as good as the last year's bike, but we made some pretty key changes, which actually ended up being very inexpensive to make. And it really brought this whole bike around. So we're going to kind of break this down and let you know how we built this thing. So starting off with the motor, like always, the motor is completely stock. We're on stock ECU, stock pipe, stock everything. Only thing we do to this motor is we change the oil and the air filter and the oil filter. I mean, this bike is no lack in power, and I think it shows. But overall, we're really happy with this bike, and surprisingly, most of our riders are running the stock map. We really like just the all zero maps, at least for West Coast off-road. I think for an East Coast, it'd be a little different, but for the West Coast, it works really, really good. So motor, completely stock, stock clutch, literally stock everything. It's been really, really good. So no changes to the motor. Suspension, we're running all the stock components. For spring rates, we're running 5.0 fork springs for myself, and then a 6.0 rear spring, and about 165-ish pounds, give or take, depending on the day. And we worked pretty hard with TCS Power Sports to get that set up. We kind of started with last year's base setting, but it was way too soft for this new frame and chassis. So we stiffened up quite a bit and found a really good setting using stock linkage, stock everything. For 2024, Yamaha changed up the shock length to be 10 millimeters shorter, or 10 millimeters less travel, 3 millimeters shorter internally, which is exactly what we did last year. So that worked out perfect for us. And then the forks are also 10 millimeters shorter in length. And that at one point was a little bit of an issue, but we kind of figured out some fork height and whatnot, and are now really, really comfortable with this bike. For fork height, we're running right around 3 millimeters. So that's been kind of the sweet spot with the revalve suspension. Stock suspension, we liked about 5 millimeter fork height to not get too harsh, but get a little bit of stability. But with the valve suspension, we were able to move it down to 3 and get a really good balance out of the bike overall. Moving on to the chassis, that's the biggest thing we've kind of messed with on this bike, and we've made a lot of progress. So one of the first things I would recommend doing, and the cheapest and easiest thing to do really, is the front motor mounts. There's it comes with the motor mount, and there's like an outer plate on that front motor mount. And if you remove that outer plate and just use that one-piece motor mount design, and then get the YZ450F, has some shorter, like a little bit shorter bolts that bolt right onto this bike. And if you get rid of that motor mount and get those 450F bolts, I think they're about $10-12 on Rocky Mountain for both those bolts. It made a world of difference on this bike. We were having some trouble with just kind of a little harsh feel in front end, and it turned really good and really good precision, but it was kind of harsh and beat our hands up a little bit too much and gave us a little bit too much feedback for West Coast off-road. So doing that, it completely eliminated almost all of that. Got really, really comfortable. We lost a little bit of turning precision, but in our opinion, that was well worth the trade-off for the added comfort and stability we were able to get with by removing that outer plate. So if that's something you are struggling with, is kind of just a little bit too much feedback through the hands and the front end of the bike, that's definitely something I would recommend trying. Like I said, it's super cheap. Like I said, $12 on Rocky Mountain for those 2 bolts, And you use stock parts. It's all it's really basic, but it makes a world of difference on the track or on the dirt. We're using the Works Chassis Lab soft top hanger, and to us that kind of isn't as big of a difference as the removing that front mount or the outer plate from the front mount. But what it felt like almost is like we sped up the rebound on decel on the shock. We're getting a little bit of a chatter and just kind of harsh feeling on decel through braking bumps and square edge shop and whatnot. And then we put these motor mounts on, and it completely eliminated all of that. We're not getting too much squat and kind of loss of rear wheel traction like we have with some other soft motor mount designs. So we kind of maintain that, but get rid of that little bit of that harsh feeling and that little bit too much feedback that we get out of we're getting out of the rear end with the setup. So that Works Chassis Lab soft top mount, and then the modified front lower mount was our go-to engine mount package for this 24 bike so far. Moving on to triple clamps. It's a little bit of a, I wouldn't say hot topic, but debatable. Right now we're running the Lexon 23.5 millimeter offset triple clamps, and there's some advantages and some disadvantages compared to stock. I'll be totally honest, I'm not 100% sold on them, whether I completely like them better than stock or not, but we kind of ran out of time and haven't been able to get back and forth to stock a few more times like we wanted to. So we're going to run with the Lexon. Overall, we are really happy with them. Is it absolutely 100% better than stock? I need some more time to kind of delve into that. But overall, some of the biggest takeaways we took from mounting these up is the front wheel traction on this bike with these clamps is unreal. You can cut down through corners, cut across bumps, cut across the track and the trail, whatever. Really, really, really good. I got a lot of front end precision, and for the most part, it's a really stable package as well with that extra offset. The cornering's really good. The high speed stability is everything's there. Kind of one of the biggest, or not the biggest, but one of the drawbacks I kind of have gotten in the initial testing when we're doing some back-to-back stuff is a little bit more feedback to the hands, which with the front engine mount modification that we made, I was able to get rid of some there, but then bring some back with the clamps. So it was a little bit of a trade-off, like not completely back to the stock feel, but it got a little closer to that stock feel. But the front end precision and the front wheel traction is really good on these clamps. So we're going to run them for the 24-hour, and then either after the race or for a 2025 model, we'll kind of do some more back-to-back testing and see if those really are the way to go. But overall, I'm pretty impressed with the clamps. I was a little skeptical of them, but overall they work really good so far. And time will tell if they're truly that much better than stock, but they're worthy enough to be on this race bike for the 24-hour. So I think that says a lot right there. Some of the other things we've done is kind of like last year's bike. We went with the 1452 gearing. DDC Sprocket sent us front sprocket and rear sprocket. Their stuff lasts forever and it works really good. So we have no problems there. And kind of like on last year's bike, it's more of a chassis handling feel than for a power delivery. Yes, it smooths out the power a little bit, broadens out the gears, which is debatable whether this bike needs it or not, but it has the power to pull it, so it works. But the biggest thing it does is the chassis feel. It takes a lot of that hit out of the square edge chop and acceleration and just makes the bike feel like it rides above the bumps instead of through the bumps, like above and across the bumps instead of through the bumps. And it just overall gives a softer chassis feel and a little bit more comfortable for us when we're riding off-road and whatnot. So 1452 is our gearing setup. If you're bigger riders or heavier riders, or even just like if we carried less corner speed, some of our vet guys, they noted they probably would rather go to a 1453. The 1452 is just a little bit too tall, but if you stick in that range, the biggest thing is getting bigger sprockets on both ends of the bike. Just that chain torque feel really changes the handling of the bike, and we think it's for the better. So that 1452 to 1453 is a really good option for that. Another thing, we have a precision steering dampener. They work really well, mount to the frame, no problems, and then just mount straight to the handlebar. No different triple clamps or bar mounts needed, so those mount up really well. They work really well, and a few of our vet guys have been using them for years, so we obtained one for this bike, and it's working pretty good so far. Some of the smaller things, to power lights, we are running a WR450 stator and flywheel. So those are just OEM parts and they bolt right on. And so far we've been able to power a Baja Designs XL80, which is about a 75 to 80 watt light. And so far we've had zero issues, but so yeah, that's something an improvement over the last bike. Last bike we weren't able to power the XL80, but this one we have been so far. So that's a step in the right direction. IMS tanks, they sent us a dry brake tank at 2.8 gallons. I'll be honest, it sucked to install that first time, but now that I know what I'm doing, I can do it a lot quicker. And we'll see if we can get with IMS to maybe make some possible changes to make an easier install tank that still gets the dry brake and everything. Because yeah, I think while it works good, I think there's some room for improvement for sure. And then to go with the IMS tank, we have this this gas cap cover design from Bear Concepts. It's actually really trick, and it's a dry brake receiver cap all in one. And so you pull the thing off, you push, it's a push button to release, quick release, and you pull it off, and it seals the dry brake off so no dirt gets inside, and you can slam it back on in a matter of seconds. So it's super clean, super trick, and they've been testing it with the Purvines racing team all year this year, and it works really, really good. So that's a pretty cool design that is just getting released to the market. And if you're an off-road guy racing a Yamaha and you need a dry brake, I definitely recommend that's the way to go. Just one quick, easy motion, all one piece, super Sano. It's tough to beat. Some of the smaller stuff, we're on a Works Connection clutch perch for smoother clutch pull and feel. Pro Taper CR mid handlebars. We went with the 1 1/8 bar this year, but that CR mid bend works really good, really neutral for everyone. AME half waffle grips, super solid. I really like the stock Yamaha grips, but for race this long, we need something a little bit more comforting, so we're running the AME half waffles. Motion Pro Titan throttle tube, nearly indestructible. Dunlop AT82 tires front and rear. That AT82 front tire is probably a new favorite tire from Dunlop, so that works really, really well across all conditions. And then the 82 rear works really well as well. We have it mounted in the scoop or soft direction, so it'll be pulling for sure. TM Design Works, they freshened up our chain guide and slider for us, so those were getting pretty worn by the 30-40 hour mark, and so we slapped on the TMD, the new factory edition FX chain guide and the front chain slider. Bulletproof design sent us a rear disc guard that's super durable, super strong, one piece of aluminum, and yeah, we've used those on all our bikes and they work really well. Our Dunlop tires are fitted with nitro mousses to keep us flat free. Nitro's been around for quite a while now, and they make a really good product. There's quite a few other mousse brands out there, but Nitro still continues to be one of the better mousses out there. So we're running those for all 24 hours, and yeah, keep us going flat free for the duration of the event. And last but not least, Cherry's Plastic sent us some plastic to kind of refresh the look of the bike, and give us kind of refresh the scratched up, beat up stock plastic that we had. And then Rad Custom Graphics, they supplied the graphics. I think the bike's looking pretty cool this year. A black and blue theme, a little similar to the SAR Racing team, but with a twist on it. And yeah, looks pretty cool. DT1 filters, they sent us some air filters for this race. We have the triple layer, and we have the triple layer and the standard dual layer air filters. So we've always had really good luck with their stuff, and they'll be keeping us running strong all race long. Modified Machine Works, we have their dry brake on, as well as their race light mounts and frame. Those house our Baja Designs XL80 and XL Pro lights. And like I said, one of the other parts that's super clean, super Sano, very well built, and they're built right here in Southern California. So it's American made, and it's a really cool product, and it works really well. So that's kind of it for this bike. Like I said, the few key chassis changes, that's kind of the biggest thing that we messed with, is on the chassis with the triple clamps and the motor mounts. But for the most part, the rest of the bike is very stock exhaust, completely stock motor, stock ECU. The biggest things are the triple clamps and the motor mounts. So overall, we've been really impressed with the 450FX for 2024, and we're going to take it racing tomorrow. See if we can come home with a win, or at the very least just get it to the finish and have a good day. And yeah, we've been very impressed with this bike, so we'll give it a go, and we'll see you in 24 hours.